everybody, my name is Soulless Convoy. Today I'm taking a look at Newage's H35B Arges, I think. No, I think it's Arges. It's not spelled Arges, but it's their version on Shatterglass Shockwave. Here's the box art. It's a reference to Bastion from Overwatch. Never played Overwatch though. Just another character from the DX9 toy. Here he is. This is on loan to me from Crisis. It's a repaint of an older mold they just released after I think a few people asked for it. This is the first toy of Shatterglass Shockwave ever. The original Shatterglass Shockwave design was based off of the Energon 6-shot / Shock Blast mold. Here, the deco is actually based on the Earth Wars version, which kind of changed the deco a bit and moved it onto the Generation 1 Shockwave body. Getting in close on the figure, the head is new. It's the only new part for this toy. It's based on the Energon mold, and it does look pretty good. It uses this really nice orange / bronze brownish paint here with a metallic blue / gray, metallic bluish gray for the eye that ends up looking really good. The newly molded head fins, etc. The head sculpt looks great. I do wish he had some more remolding to go along with it, maybe like a claw hand or something, but he's pretty sparse. These black shoulder, I don't know, just black paint on the shoulders from the Earth Wars design. One thing I don't like is the chest is like this painted gray and then there's yellow painted on top, and it really does not come off super good. There's a weird paint mishap right here on my copy. And this is translucent blue. This part's painted yellow, so there's a little bit of goofiness going on over there. Nice metallic blue paint on the arms, yellow plastic I think on the legs, but it's like a mismatch. There's like this other yellow and then this yellow, so I don't really, that's blue paint, black plastic. And then there's some blue details on the thighs that don't really show up that well. They're not really painted that well either. Here he is from the back. He's got a bit of a backpack, and there's obviously the hose. Visually, I think looks okay, but I wish they'd handled the chest differently. I don't really think the Earth Wars design was a good idea to go off of that, simply because it's an Earth Wars design. They don't really put that much effort into some of the deco maps on those because they're not physical objects. So I think maybe changing it up a bit, being a little bit more original would have been nice, especially since they took inspiration from the Energon version for the head. So I think more inspiration would have been cool. I'll get into accessories later, but they could have done, I think, a bit more with this. In terms of articulation, I don't know if the original Shockwaves had this problem because he doesn't, I don't have them. The head articulation is really limited. It only gets you that much up and a little bit down, basically a really small amount of side to side, and then obviously the 360 around. It's also pretty tight, but it doesn't get the full 360. Shoulders, universal ball joints, they go out to here, etc. The full range, even with the hose. I will say they do clash sometimes against the chest, and there's a second shoulder hinge here if you want to get some other poses there. Elbows, a disappointing 90 degrees, nothing more, nothing less. Well, I guess you could say that's like 100 degrees. And then the wrist does swivel, and he does have bicep swivels. He has a waist swivel, and then he has a ab crunch, which does go a really respectable range. For the hips, this is where things get kind of weird. He has hip skirts that go out in the front, and then he has hip skirts that are designed really weird where they cover the back and the sides. I don't really know why they did that. I think it's partially for ult mode, but they do get out to 90. And then the back is hard because you can move the hip skirt all the way out of the way. 90 and then 90. So they do have full universal range, actually more out to the side, but it doesn't really help you with anything. They do have universal range. It's just a little bit goofy. The knees get 90 degrees. You have a thigh swivel. And then unfortunately for the ankles, it's just the toe really. There's a little bit of wobble here. It's not really that much articulation. You get a little bit toe tilt up, but it makes the figure feel unstable because it's hard to line up these static, I guess, heels with the toe at times. So it feels like you're balancing on one part or the other. There is a lot of toe tilt, but there's no actual ankle tilt. So sometimes when you put this figure down, he wobbles a bit, if that makes sense. because like he's not perfectly balanced. Again, I don't know, your mileage may vary. Maybe I'm misaligning it, maybe it's a skill issue, but I don't think so, right? It's just not. It happens a lot to figures that only have toe tilt and no ankle tilt, and this guy isn't really an exception. It's not designed particularly better than any other figure with the same problems. So for the most part, other than the ab crunch, the articulation is really on par with like a Chug Deluxe with wrist swivels, which I know is kind of rare for a Chug Deluxe nowadays, but it's I guess you could say a Voyager with an ab crunch, right? Accessories, short segment. He gets a little gun version of himself that he can hold in his hand. Let's put that in there. And then his only other accessory that he can interact with really in robot mode is a single replacement hand, which has the hand from the show, because Shockwave saluted in the show once, so now he has to salute here as well, which makes no sense. I don't know if Shadow of that Shockwave ever did that. It really feels like a waste. Also, I think you can remove the cannon. Yeah, you can. So you can switch the hands if you prefer him to be like a... Well, you can't, because the fist only goes on one side. He doesn't have a second fist, which is really funny, actually. I think that would be something they could have added. It would be a... You know, he could have like a mirrored fist so he could switch the guns, but you can't. If you want to switch the guns, his hand ends up backwards. So you can't switch the gun to their hand. Really disappointing. Would have cost them next to nothing to add another fist hand if they just wanted to do that, or a second gun hand, or I don't know, maybe like a translucent gun hand, because the gray does not look good. It's one of the uglier part about the figure is just like his main draw, his gun hand is just like this ugly gray plastic. I don't know if it works that well. Again, I mean, if they'd reference the original toy and give him like an optional claw hand to replace his current hand, that would have been really cool. But that's it for the accessories for like bot mode. He comes with a stand, general Newage stand. You know, you have the base. This is more for his alternate mode. This piece tabs into like his it tabs into the bottom of the base, replacing this part of the stand, and you can like plug in this his legs in gun mode. He has no like kickstand or anything, so he needs it to like be like displayed in gun mode, I guess, if you don't want to like lead him down. But for this part of the stand, he does have a port right there, and you can plug him in to the stand. I would always be careful because Newage stands are notorious for being fragile, and also like their pegs getting stuck inside painted holes and shearing, so I would be careful with this. Some of the joints on this stand are also really tight, and that's a tight fit, but you know, it does hold him. It does hold him, so there's that. Unfortunately, he can't really look up, so it's kind of pointless for flying poses, and he's not really a dynamic toy whatsoever. He's actually very not dynamic. I just kind of found him boring to pose, so it's not really that helpful of an addition. But you know, he has a stand. That's pretty much it for accessories. Let me get out some size comparisons really quickly. But first, let's take a look at some relevant, I guess, pertinent size comparisons, or so comparisons really. Here he is with the previous Newage Shockwave that I own. This is their original Shockwave toy, which they made from Jazz, as reference to the Alternators one, before they ever made their dedicated Shockwave mold. I don't have that. This is my first experience with this mold. But I do have a Magic Squares Shockwave. I think this is the A version, but I don't know if it's the 2024 reissue. I think it's like the older A version, but they're functionally identical. So yeah, he's definitely shorter. His proportions lean a lot more cartoony with like the curvature of the legs, and you know, this backpack right here that he has is actually cartoon accurate, whereas Magic Square just eschewed that entirely. So you know, he doesn't. I don't know. The main appeal for this guy, I think, is that he hides the gun barrel inside here, but he still has a backpack anyways. And as someone who doesn't care about accuracy, it kind of feels like a zero-sum game. Like either way, the toy is a backpack, and this one is arguably uglier. But it is accurate. So I guess that's the most important thing for Newage as a design philosophy standpoint, is the mold that base is accurate to the character sheet, and this is accurate to the character sheet. Does the character sheet particularly evoke Shockwave the character? Not really. I would say Sunbow Shockwave is actually a really bad Shockwave. But you know, that's up to interpretation, it's up to debate. But here's just like the comparison. So if you're into more like cartoon accurate Shockwave, definitely pick up a copy of the Newage mold. It is still pretty fun. This is a final thoughts bit. Why am I doing this right now? If you want to pick up magic squares because you want a bulkier, more intimidating Shockwave, that also exists. But that's the comparison between the two of them. And then also if you love alternators, get Car Shockwave if you can find it. Here's Tremors, which is their GoBot version of Sea Spray. Here's Dr. Wu's Micromaster, and see, he wobbles, like it's weird. Micromaster Cosmos. Let me put him over here. Legion class Flak. Zoom out a bit. Deluxe class Transformer. And a Core class Transformer. So again, like most Legends toys, in between Core and Deluxe. Yeah, I'm going to get it transformed, and we'll take a look at his upside down submarine mode in a second. Here we have him transformed. Alternate mode size comparisons, you know, Micromaster, Newage Minibot, Legion class figure, Newage Carbot, Core, Deluxe. Some of these out of the way, more pertinent comparisons. So they're, yeah, I guess about deluxe height, maximum deluxe height in terms of length for the two of them. Get some more light in there. I don't know why light is acting up. There's a Corp. I'm gonna move everything else out of the way. We can just focus on maybe quickly comparing these two alt modes. First, just looking at the enemy alt mode, I think would be more pertinent. So overall, it doesn't look bad. I mean, the yellow again stands out against the bulk of the yellow and the rest of the figure. You have the targeting array. This does light up. Unfortunately, the battery for it is way too obscure. I think it's a hearing aid battery, and turning it on also involves like partially mistransforming it. It can also shine through the chest in robot mode, but that means you have to like turn the light on, do the entire backpack transformation, and then when you want to turn it off, do it all over again, turn the light off, do it all over again. So it's a lot of effort in bot mode. This is kind of ugly with the exposed ball joints. The back side is pretty ugly, it's pretty unfinished, and this is where the blue piece, hold on. Let me zoom in actually. This is where the blue piece that tabs into, this is his only real accessory for this mode. So I'm just gonna, it just kind of slides in there. Also, this, it does not, hello. This does not tab in, and the connection on the, this whole thing is kind of unstable. Again, maybe your mileage may vary, but there is that. This just tabs into that hole right here on the, oh, that sounded terrible. Okay, that sounded terrible. That sounded terrible. Something is wrong with Newage's stands, man. I don't know why the plastic always sounds and feels terrible. I don't know, maybe that's my experience, but my stand for Power Glide had issues, like it had a port and it cracked, and then my stand for Swoop also always felt super tight. But here he is. I mean, this is his main accessory, and this is how you're supposed to display it. I don't know, it looks kind of unfinished. I'm gonna bring in the Magic Square for the quick comparison, and you can see Magic Square's got a lot less gaps and holes and stuff like that. It does have this gap underneath, but you can't really see anything. But it does feel like it cleans up a bit more. I don't know. Both of them transform just fine with the hose on, by the way. Back to Newage. I mean, yeah, you can kind of hold it. You can pew-pew. Magic Square handle is a bit more handleable, but both are too small for a human hand. I think they fit it with MP combiners. I know they do fit in MP combiners. They do fit with MP combiners, so you can use them with an MP combiner. But yeah, final thoughts. I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted. This guy has been hyped up as one of like the premier Newage releases. I don't really think that's true. He's solid. He's all right, but it feels more like a good average than a real, like, you know, all around banger. I don't know. Maybe it's because there's no really good Shockwave except Siege, and that has issues, but or it doesn't have issues. I don't know. I don't really siege that hard, guys. But it's all right. The robot mode is painfully undynamic. It feels like a mainline release. Actually, there's a lot of mainline releases that are way more dynamic than this bot mode. The deco work on this particular toy, on this particular version, is a bit disappointing in my opinion. The lack of accessories really stinks, and the gun mode is all right. All of that at a $60 price point are pretty hard to stomach, I think. The Magic Score version I just showed you retails for $25. However, the transformation is really fun. Pulling off a transformation which copies the MP's trick of hiding the gun barrel in the backpack and doing it while being easy is actually awesome. The torso transformation for this guy, except for like getting the shoulder joints over his chest, which is weird with the sculpted detail, that's fun. That's fun. That's awesome. That's really cool and inspiring. That usual innovative New Age charm, which manages to be simple and fun at the same time. It's like the New Age moment. Can't believe I just said that. The rest of it, though, the legs suck. I mean, I don't know if this is this copy, but untabbing the legs on this guy are way more infuriating than I cannot believe. It has to be a tolerance issue, but the feeling of just untabbing those legs the way I watch everyone else do it easily on this particular toy is just so unfun. I always feel like something is sketch with untabbing the legs, and the leg sliders are a pain to collapse. I don't know, I guess it's tolerances. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I tried messing with a few screws here and there and didn't seem to change anything, unfortunately. So I would just proceed with a side of caution. Maybe this is always a thing and, you know, I just wasn't aware and most people are just used to it by now. But it felt weird. Like, you know, like ironically, the transformation is way more simple than the Magic Square version, but the Magic Square version doesn't actually have a step that feels that sketch, which is crazy because this is an extremely simple transformation. I also don't really like how the legs don't fully, like, things don't actually tab into place and just sit there, which is kind of annoying. And yeah, I mean, again, for $60, even compared to other New Age product, I mean, Blaster is $60. Blaster is $55. Shatterglass Blaster has 3 tapes and it's $60. You can get, I don't know, a Dinobot for $10 more. You can get, I don't know, Optimus Prime with a trailer for $75. You can get Magnus for $85. This for $60 is just kind of like, I mean, Cyclonus is $60, and Cyclonus is miles, light years better than this, right? I don't know. It's very serviceable. It's very all right. If you want to tune Shockwave, it is the de facto option. If you like New Age and you want it, I mean, yeah, go for it. There's nothing here that makes me not recommend it, but also as an objective product for the price, I think it's just too expensive. You know, if the price does not feel too expensive to you, then yeah, it's a recommend. But like at the same time, if you don't mind it, I think the Magic Square one just dog walks this to Cybertron and back. You know, I mean, I don't really think it's a competition at all, actually, which is crazy because I think this is the consensus better Shockwave, and I guess I'm the contrarian yet again. But like, I don't know, man. I don't think that hiding the gun barrel justifies everything else this toy does worse. You know. I got these 2 toys within a day of each other, so it's not even a recency bias. I got this thing on, I think, Sunday it arrived, and I got Magic Square on Monday. So there's no recency bias, and I've never been pro Magic Square. People who know me know that I am not a fan of theirs whatsoever. I own like, I used to only own like 1 of their toys. Now I own like 2 in a combiner set. But like, the point is, like, it could be better. You know, it could be better, and it could be a lot less expensive, is how I'm going to end this review, honestly. Again, if you like it and the price doesn't bother you and you are here for the New Age transformation fun, which, you know, this toy kind of has, and the articulation limitations don't bother you, then go for it. If any of those things are a hang-up, I do think it's too expensive that, you know, even a minor hang-up can make it a pass. Hope that helps. Again, thank you guys for checking this out. Thank you, Quisis, for loaning this figure. Link to the Discord in the bio, and link to get one on Show Z, not in the bio, Jesus Christ. Link in the description to get one from Show Z, and I'm also going to have my Discord linked in there for those who care. That's all for me, guys. Have a great day. Peace out. Bye.